99% of people think success is a lottery ticket, but the top 1%, they know it's just ruthless mathematical self-discipline. Meet Natalie Dawson. She went from scraping by on a $55,000 salary to scaling a business empire making $250 million a year. The secret isn't a magical morning routine or drinking raw eggs. It started with a brutal wake-up call at an airport lounge. Picture this. A woman strutting down the terminal, clutching a pristine $2,000 designer Louis Vuitton bag. She looks like ultimate luxury, a walking billboard of peak wealth and total control. She's winning at life, right? But look closer at what she's pulling right behind her. A beaten-up, taped-together $69 Costco suitcase. This is the veneer of success. Spending your rent money to look rich while your actual foundation is held together by Scotch tape. Most people live exactly like that suitcase. A flashy, curated Instagram profile on the outside, but total operational chaos on the inside. They scream about wanting $1 million business, yet they can't even force themselves to wake up when the alarm goes off. They depend entirely on a fragile chemical reaction called motivation. Spoiler alert, motivation is a lying con artist. Motivation shows up when it's sunny, when you're caffeinated, and when the task is fun. But the moment things get hard, poof. It vanishes, leaving you stranded on the couch, doom-scrolling TikTok while your goals slowly burn to ashes. The 1% don't operate on motivation. They operate on absolute, unwavering, ironclad operational discipline. In this video, we are breaking down the exact psychological framework that transforms a chaotic, low-income life into a $250 million empire. Get ready to strip away the fake luxury veneer and rebuild your discipline from the bedrock up. Let's dive in. Welcome to Chapter 2. To build actual 1% discipline, we first have to dismantle the massive lie surrounding human motivation. Society tells you that you need to feel like it before you execute. That is a toxic loop designed to keep you stagnant. Biologically, motivation is nothing but an erratic dopamine spike. It is chemically impossible to maintain that high 24/7. So what does the top 1% do instead? They master the three core tactical relationships of discipline. Relationship number one is with yourself. It is rooted in what behavioral scientists call baseline cognitive self-trust. Every single time you tell your brain you are going to exercise and then you don't, you execute a micro-betrayal. Your subconscious mind catalogs these failures. Eventually, it reprograms your brain to treat your own goals as a joke. According to empirical data from Stanford, keeping tiny non-negotiable promises increases your identity strength by up to 40%. Relationship number two is with others. This is about aligning your external execution metrics with your outward reputation. When you tell your boss or your business partners that a project will be done by Friday afternoon and you miss the mark, you aren't just missing a deadline. You are slowly leaking away your professional authority into an unrecoverable void. Conversely, Harvard studies reveal that matching your actions to your exact words increases peer trust and career leverage by over 35%. Finally, relationship number three is with the work itself. This requires a complete re-engineering of your execution mindset. Most people look at a difficult corporate task, like cold calling or building financial models, and they see a painful mountain of misery. But the top 1%, they strip away the emotion. They treat difficult corporate execution like a mechanical video game, level up, gain points. Welcome to Chapter 3. This is where we stop talking about philosophy and deploy the tactical six-step playbook used by the 1%. Step 1. Define the singular micrometric. The average person fails because they try to achieve 20 vague corporate goals at the exact same time. The 1% pick exactly one. They target a singular metric, like making 20 cold calls, and isolate it from the noise with absolute precision. Step 2, aggressive calendar isolation. You don't decide when to work based on your mood. You schedule a locked block and you seal it shut. Step 3, drastic environmental friction stripping. If your phone is on your desk flashing notifications, you have already lost the battle before it began. The top 1% move their devices into another room entirely. They curate a sterile execution bunker engineered for absolute single-task focus. Step 4. Deploy the lower bound micro-timer. Your brain paralyzes because you think you have to execute for 10 grueling hours straight. By tricking your cognitive defense system into thinking you are only executing for 20 minutes, the initial friction threshold drops down to 0. Step 5. Force the non-negotiable executive exit protocol. When your scheduled time block finishes, you stop executing instantly, no exceptions. By dropping your pen the exact second the timer ticks 0, you train your subconscious mind to trust the boundary constraints you establish. Step 6. The uncheatable visual execution ledger. You build an unvarnished ledger tracking nothing but raw binary check marks. Did you execute or did you fail? There is no gray area in a binary ledger. A single blank space or missed checkmark screams back at you with immediate psychological leverage. But when that ledger chain remains unbroken week after week, that is the exact mathematical compounding point where a basic habit transforms into millions of dollars. Tactical steps, no motivation required. Just a cold, calculated operational framework that completely removes emotional choices from your day. Now that you possess the tactical weapons of the 1%, let's look at the terrifying mathematical reality of long-term consistency. Let's close this out. 1 receipt is an accident. 5 receipts is a trend. 20 consecutive receipts is a complete neurobiological identity overthrow. The reason your new corporate habits fail within 3 days isn't lack of effort. It's because your underlying identity is working against you. When you try to execute high-tier executive tasks while holding a baseline belief of unworthiness, your brain triggers instant cognitive warfare. The top 1% don't focus on changing their actions first. They reverse the psychological pipeline. Identity first, execution follows. Self-image acts exactly like a corporate thermostat. If your behavior starts exceeding your internal setting, your brain automatically drags you back down. This is why after a rare burst of high production, you unconsciously trigger a massive wave of self-sabotage to cool your engine back down. To change this permanently, the 1% manually open up the dashboard and reset their baseline identity through evidence-backed tracking. Your brain does not care about your positive affirmations or screaming into a mirror. It only tracks undisputed behavioral receipts. Wishing you were disciplined is completely worthless. The brain recognizes empty visualization as a cheap, unearned hit of fake dopamine. But when you complete one single 20-minute time block and log it, you hand your brain an undeniable court receipt proving your identity. 1 receipt is an accident, 5 receipts is a trend, 20 consecutive receipts is a complete neurobiological identity overthrow. Once your identity changes, you no longer waste precious energy fighting yourself. High production becomes as natural as breathing oxygen. Look at the comparative architecture side by side. The 99% chase feelings. The 1% engineer behavioral data points. Stop waiting for motivation to save you. Pick your micrometric, log your receipts, and take control of your psychological motherboard right now. Welcome to Chapter 5. With your identity locked into corporate execution parameters, we now scale the architecture into long-term compounding modeling. Welcome to Chapter 5. With your identity locked into corporate execution parameters, we now scale the architecture into long-term compounding modeling. The average operator destroys momentum through inconsistency. They work hard for 2 days, vanish for a week, and constantly reset their progress back to 0. They don't understand the physics of inertia. Starting a corporate engine from a dead stop requires 10 times more energy than keeping an active system running. Top 1% protect their momentum like a multi-million-dollar asset pool. They keep the velocity constant, turning effort into an automated flywheel. This is exactly how Natalie Dawson scaled her business operations to a $250 million annual run rate. Consistent metrics stack up rapidly. The playbook is unlocked. The mathematics are undisputed. Remove the emotion, track the receipts, and scale your personal architecture to millions. Welcome to Chapter 7. Once you conquer basic consistency, you must protect your administrative velocity against internal corporate leaks. The average operator smothers their scaling potential by building massive, hyper-complex tracking sheets that take hours just to update. When the operational cost of tracking your daily tasks exceeds the actual execution benefit, your subconscious mind automatically triggers an exit strategy. The top 1% design tracking frameworks with near zero friction parameters. A pure binary system. Did you execute, yes or no? Keep it simple. This relentless stripping of administrative friction allows elite executives like Natalie Dawson to scale task velocity without cognitive fatigue. The workflow compounds automatically. Ditch the complex spreadsheets, lock down your raw binary checkmark log, protect your velocity, eliminate the noise, and execute with precision. Welcome to Chapter 8. We have dismantled the motivation myth, locked down the playbook, and reprogrammed your identity thermostat. Now we cement the bedrock. Most people spend their entire lives on a self-help hamster wheel. They read 100 books, listen to 10 podcasts, but execute absolutely nothing. They mistake the unearned dopamine of consumption for actual production victory. It feels like wealth, but your bank ledger shows absolute zero. The top 1% don't look for secrets. They look for compliance parameters. They know a single completed ledger row beats 10 hours of theoretical dreams. That is how a $55,000 wage earner transforms into a titan controlling a $250 million skyscraper, block by block, checkmark by checkmark.